Alright, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Making Training Simple video. I don't remember what we spoke about in the last video. Let me just check real quick. In the last video, we spoke about understanding progressive overload. In today's video, I'm going to be going over the nutrition aspect of training. Obviously, when you're training for hypertrophy results, you're going to want to either gain muscle or lose fat. But a lot of people don't really know how to approach these goals. I see people do like very aggressive bulks, very aggressive cuts, and I'm going to explain the proper ways to go about your cutting and your bulking phases. And I'm also going to speak about body recomp phases and the people who are able to successfully do a body recomposition phase. So, first and foremost, you're going to have your cutting phase. The cutting phase is essentially a time period where your main goal is to lose as much fat as possible. The best way to go about doing this is to do a calorie deficit. However, this doesn't mean to start cutting your calories by an insane amount. Studies show that it's good to be in a deficit of 10 to 20% of your maintenance calories. If you go above and you start doing like 500 or 1,000 calorie deficits, you're probably going to be losing muscle along with fat. Losing muscle obviously is not the goal of a cutting phase. You want to just primarily lose fat. Obviously, you might end up losing a little bit of muscle, but you want to prevent that as much as possible. And the best way to go about doing this is to not be doing an aggressive cut. Additionally, doing such an aggressive cut is going to be very detrimental for your training. You're not going to have enough energy to properly go through your workouts. You don't have enough fuel. In this cutting phase, you should aim to lose around 0.5 to 1% of your body weight per week. This is going to be the sweet spot for people trying to lose fat while also preserving their lean muscle mass. Something to keep in mind is that people who are leaner should be doing a more slow and gradual cut just because they have less fat to spare, and it's going to be a lot easier to lose muscle. So just make sure that you're only targeting, your fat reserves. The next phase we'll talk about is bulking. Bulking is essentially a period of time where your main goal is to gain as much muscle as possible. The best way to go about doing this is going to be a calorie surplus. You're going to be eating above your maintenance calories. But something to note is that when you're in your bulking phase, you are going to be gaining a little bit of fat as well because you are in a calorie surplus. Now, we need to understand how many calories somebody should be eating in order to maximize muscle growth while also minimizing the amount of fat that they gain as well. So you should be eating around 10 to 20% surplus of your current maintenance calories. This is going to be the sweet spot to gain as much muscle as possible while also reducing the amount of fat that you're gaining as well. People who go on very aggressive bulks, dirty bulks, it's not going to be beneficial because the more calories you eat does not necessarily mean the more muscle you grow. Like I said in a previous video, muscle protein synthesis has a ceiling, so there's only so much muscle that you could grow during a specific spike. Eating more calories is not going to increase that ceiling. All the extra calories are going to go straight to fat. So being on a very aggressive bulk is not going to make you gain more muscle. You'll just be getting very fat. It's not beneficial because when you gain so much fat, your cutting phase is going to be a lot longer. You're not going to see the results you want for a while. So when you're in this bulking phase, you want to make sure that you're gradually increasing in weight to make sure that you're increasing muscle without putting on unnecessary fat. During this phase, you should aim to gain around 0.25 to 0.5% of body weight per week. And the next phase I'm going to talk about is a body recomp phase. This is probably one of the most infamous phases because it is the most ideal phase possible. If you don't know what body recomp phase, it's essentially when you are losing fat while gaining muscle at the same time. However, there are specific types of people that are able to successfully do a body recomp phase. The first type of people is going to be new trainers. Your first 6 to 12 months, you are going to be able to put on a lot of muscle while also losing fat. Why? I'm not sure, but if you're a newbie, do not underestimate the amount of gains that you can make during your first 6 to 12 months. The next group of people is going to be people who are returning to the gym after a while of not training. So this is a phenomenon called muscle memory. Essentially, when you start training again, you're able to regain that lost muscle while also losing fat. But this only works if you had muscle prior to your break. If you didn't have muscle prior to your break and you're returning for the first time, don't think that you're going to blow up just because you're coming back to the gym. Muscle memory really only works for people who had muscle to begin with, if that makes sense. The next group of people who are going to be eligible for a body recomp phase are going to be people who have higher body fat. This is because they have more stored energy as fat, and that fat is going to help fuel their muscle growth even while they're in a deficit. The last group of people I'm going to talk about who are eligible for a body recomp phase are going to be undertrained individuals. If you have been training for a while and you know you can improve on either your stimulus or your technique, you can do a body recomp phase. It might not be as effective as a newbie, but you can still do it. So now that we went over those 3 phases, cutting, bulking, and body recomposition, I'm just going to give you some things to keep in mind when you're setting your programs or your diets. If you don't know your maintenance calories, there's 2 ways you could go about it. You could go on a website that calculates maintenance calories and put all your information. It's going to print out your calories for maintenance, for a slight bulk or a slight cut, things like that. However, sometimes those are inaccurate. The other option is going to be to track your current food intake for 2 weeks and see what the trend is in your body weight. If you're gaining weight, you're eating in a surplus. If you're losing weight, you're in a deficit. And if your weight stayed the same, then you were eating at maintenance calories. This is probably going to be the best way. It's the most accurate. It just takes a while. I know a lot of people don't want to wait the 2 weeks, but it's going to probably be the best accurate for you. The next thing is to keep in mind your protein when you're in your cutting or your bulking phases. When you're in your cutting phase, you might want to boost it up to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, just so that you could really protect your lean mass. When you're bulking, you could probably drop down the 1 gram to 0.7 or 0.8 grams per pound, just because being in a calorie surplus is already anti-catabolic as it is. So it's going to be protecting your muscle already. You're not going to be losing any muscle while you're on a bulk. The last thing I'll mention is that it's very important that you track your progress and understand the calories in relation to your body weight. When you're bulking, if you're eating at a specific amount of calories and then you reach a weight and your weight isn't moving up, you need to increase your calories. You have a new ceiling, you have a new threshold for weight gain. If you're cutting and you stop losing weight, then you need to drop the calories more. There is a new threshold for you to lose weight. Your calories have a direct relationship to your weight, so you need to properly understand this relationship if you want to keep seeing results. That's pretty much all the information I have for you guys today. I hope you guys did enjoy it, and I hope you guys did learn something new. If you guys did enjoy the video, like it up or subscribe. Either will be amazing. Hope you guys have an amazing day, and thank you.